Super Max. Ik mis geen race, heb scheid aan mijn centen. Ik zie Max zijn mooiste momenten. Hij is de king van Barcelona. Rijdt alles zoek van Spa tot Monza. De geur van rubber en smeltend asfalt. Ik juich als Max weer één voorbij knalt. Zijn inhaalacties zijn bijzonder. Het is een baas, een wereldwonder. Yo fucking ho, niet meer normaal. Hij is een held en gaat maximaal. Fucking bizar, een fenomeen. Hij gaat naar de top, Max is de nummer 1. Yo fucking ho, niet meer normaal. Hij is een held en gaat maximaal. Fucking bizar, een fenomeen. Hij gaat naar de top, Max is de nummer 1.
Bizar! Fucking bizar! Ja, dan zit je naar dingen te kijken en te open. En daar is hij. Max Verstappen in de laatste bocht in Barcelona. Yo hey! Yo ho!
Max, super 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 Jarenlang zit je te kijken en te hopen op succes. Zodra je Max ziet racen op de baan, dan denk je yes. Hij is niet te passeren, niemand krijgt het cadeau. Hij is een pure racer, vang ze op en goed no.
Hij is de nieuwe baas.
Hij is de nieuwe baas.
Max is de nieuwe baas.
Hij is de nieuwe baas.
Ja, wij gaan helemaal los.
Hij is de nieuwe bos. Super Max, ik ben apetrots. Yo fucking ho, niet meer normaal. Hij is een held en gaat maximaal. Fucking bizar, een fenomeen. Hij gaat naar de top, Max is de nummer 1. Yo fucking ho, niet meer normaal. Hij is een held en gaat maximaal. Fucking bizar, een fenomeen. Hij gaat naar de top, Max is de nummer 1.
Yo fucking hell, wat bizar! Ongelooflijk! Sportoverwinningen zijn zo mooi. En deze is de allermooiste die ik in mijn leven gezien heb. Jongen.
Max, super 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 Max, super
Yo fucking hell, wat bizar!
You want me to come over, I got an excuse. Might be holding your hand, but I'm holding it loose. Go to talk, then we choke, it's like our necks in the noose. Avoid the obvious, we should be facing the truth. Start to think it could be fizzling now. Kinda shocked because I never really had any doubts. Look into your eyes, imagine life without you. Love kick starts again. Starts again. And the love kick starts again. Starts again.
It's the same old you, the same old me. You get bored and I get cold feet. Get high, get wandering eyes. Forget I've never ever had it so sweet. I realize what I've got when I'm out of town. Cause deep down you're my girl in the golden crown. My princess and I don't wanna let you down. No, I don't wanna let you down. Down.
You want me to come over, I got an excuse. Might be holding your hand, but I'm holding
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kenco F1 Austrian qualifying. And today, once again, I'm joined in the commentary box by Sam. Hello, Sam.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Austria. As Callum said, it's going to be an interesting one. No doubt, Austria is a great track. Lots of drivers love it. So I think we're going to see some good times today, and hopefully an interesting qualifying as usual.
Yeah, I mean, we see a couple of the cars already starting to go out onto the track. We'll get the audio on so you can hear all of the beautiful sounds of these V6 turbo hybrid engines coming out of the relatively short pit lane here at the Red Bull Ring. So today has been quite a packed one. I hope you've all been enjoying the actual F1. Obviously, we had the pre-season testing session number 1, and it seemed as though the Red Bulls were on top. And today, will the Red Bulls be on top today at the Red Bull Ring?
Well, I mean, it would be very fitting for the Red Bull drivers, seen as the Red Bull company does own the track, but we'll have to see. We've got our usual suspects, no doubt, fighting for pole, the likes of the Alfa Romeo drivers, etc. So we'll have to see whether the Red Bull drivers can fight at their team's home race.
Well, we said that the Red Bull driver of Muster down there, just out of the elimination zone, we said that may be his last race for the Red Bull team. However, it actually won't be, because the team have actually decided to sign him off, and actually we see in the last position Williams' team have actually lost a driver, and they're going to be signing Amani Graham, and what a chance that is for him to get on the top and maybe show what he's worth. We saw him at the trials, but he just missed out on that seat by just a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, great news for two drivers. Obviously, as you said, Nados, Andre Abreu in that Red Bull seat, taking over from Casper Knopp, will be retaining that seat. Obviously, Red Bull impressed with his showing so far, which is really great news for him, and obviously the new signing for Williams. So yeah, some really exciting stuff coming into the next few races in terms of driver lineup stuff. So yeah, I'm glad that got resolved for the teams, and yeah, good stuff.
Down down there in the midfield, we go on board with Max Chapman, who actually has a sprained wrist today, so it may be interesting to see whether he actually puts it on pole like he normally does.
Yeah, definitely. We were speaking about that before the show started. Obviously, as you said, Max Chapman has a real-life injury. It could affect his performance today. We'll never know. I mean, he's a very strong driver, nonetheless, on the track. So yeah, we'll have to see how much that affects him today. See what sort of times he's putting.
Obviously, if he gets through to Q2, it doesn't matter if he can't drive, because he'll just be stuck, and he has set a fastest Sector 1, so it doesn't really look at the moment like he is in any sort of threat. But both the McLaren boys out immediately, setting a lap and getting immediately knocked out of that position by the other Alfa Romeo of Casper Meech, but his fastest Sector 1 has been eradicated by his teammate. But Forbes has actually retired from the session. I'm not too sure what's gone on there.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, the two McLarens are on top for a split second. But yeah, the Alfa Romeo driver, Casper Meech, up into P1 with a 1:03.8. So nice time there from the Alfa Romeo driver. But as you said, Max Chapman still retaining that purple fastest sector at the moment, and just falling slightly behind his teammate in the second sector. So good stuff from the Alfa Romeo boys from the outset, as usual, of course.
I think that may invalidate his lap. No, he's managed to keep it in the lines, and today we are running the strict, and Chapman goes P1 decidedly, so he'll be through to Q2 by the looks of things. Obviously 13 minutes left in the session, so we can't quite say just yet, but at the moment it looks like he is on top. But even with that injury, still managing to go top of the boys.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, 2/10 ahead of his teammate at the moment. A very nice lap there from Chapman. And, as you said, he's carrying that injury this week. So, yeah, not affecting him too much at the moment. We'll have to see going forward whether any other drivers other than the Alfa Romeos can compete for that P1 today.
I'm not sure if this is a stunt every week. We've gone on board with Joel Foxall, and once again, he's running the intermediate tyres. Every week he seems to do this now. It's some sort of publicity stunt from the Racing Point boys.
Yeah, we do seem to talk about this quite a lot with Joel. Obviously, a unique strategy to that Racing Point team. Now, Aston Martin, of course, in real life. But, yeah, obviously, down in P12 at the moment, not setting a lap. Going out on those intermediate tyres. I mean, the weather is pretty gloomy at the moment, but there's no rain as of yet.
Well, just talk us through what would happen if there was a rain to be forecast. I mean, what would the strategy be around here?
Well, obviously, if there's rain, it really equalises the field up for the race, because they'll have that free tyre choice on Sunday. So yeah, it really changes things. Obviously, they're going to be running either the intermediate or the wet tyres, depending on how much depending on how much rain they get in this qualifying session. So yeah, it does really affect their strategy on Sunday, because they can start whatever tyre they want, and it's not just the P11 to P20. It's the whole field.
Oh my god. I don't know if you just saw that. I'm on board with Thomas Salomon. Coming through the middle sector, he's just absolutely lost it. And he's binned it right into the wall. His car is out. And in the first sector, that is... that's a massive yellow flag. We'll go ahead and we'll watch that once again. So, what actually happened? So, he's come in here through the middle sector down towards turn. Oh no, he's in the final sector. So this is quite before the accident. So we see now on the pit straight, all the way down, coming towards turn 1. He has hit the curb. Oh, and he spun all the way round into the one on the left. And then, obviously, that's caused some sort of gearbox failure, which has meant he's had to retire. Obviously, no wheel being taken off there, but a gearbox failure for that Haas driver because of the, well, force of the impact that he went into the wall.
Yeah, it looks like on that the sausage curb out of turn 1 really affected his lapping. You know, he just completely lost it, and yeah, that's a shame. He's forced to retire, obviously, because of that terminal damage to his car. So yeah, shame for the Haas driver there.
Yeah, so we're on board now with P8, Dylan Hartley, who is currently looking to get himself safe. He's currently P8, which is not quite safe, but considering half the grid haven't set a time, he could definitely do better.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Dylan Hartley, we've spoken about him so much the last few races. He's really been impressing us. Obviously, it all started off with his incredible win in Monaco. And, you know, he's been getting podium positions since that. So, yeah, really good stuff from the AlphaTauri driver. I'm so sure that that team's really impressed with him. So, yeah, obviously, as you said, P8-9 at the moment. So we'll have to see whether he can set a better lap. It looks like he's going to go for another one now.
Well, he's actually set 2 green sectors on his outlap. Obviously, it doesn't count when you're on your outlap. There's another yellow flag in sector 1. That's because of the other Haas driver, Widdowson, who's pulling over through turn 2. We talked about turn 2 here at Austria before, how it is so subtle that the drivers don't really feel it, and it's a little bit unusual there for them. But yeah, definitely interesting. As Dylan Hartley comes into another yellow flag in sector 2, he'll have to lift slightly there, coming down towards turn 5. And this is where we saw the infamous Hamilton versus Albon crash. Just going around there, Albon round the outside man, and yeah, luckily Dylan had no one to fight with there for that position.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, on his flying lap, he doesn't want to be competing with anyone on the track. He wants to have the track all to himself. I mean, he's doing pretty well at the moment. There's a Red Bull just in front of him, but I don't think he's going to catch up to him. So yeah, pretty clean lap so far. Looking pretty fast as well. Obviously, he improved on his first sector by the looks of it. So yeah, good lap so far as he approaches the timing line. We'll have to see what it is for him.
Doesn't really mean much at the moment whether you do go P1 or you don't go P1, but Titan is P2, and Dylan Hartley still remaining in the P9 position, but his teammate impressing with P5.
Yeah, nice stuff from Jay Robinson. Obviously, the teammate of Dylan Hartley up in P5 at the moment with a 1:03.9. So yeah, good stuff. Just about 0.3 off the fastest lap time so far, which is still held by Max Chapman. Yeah, and as you said, the Ferrari of Titan has managed to split the 2 Alfa Romeos. So hopefully a fight for pole today. Obviously, we've seen Titan previously manage to get pole, so we know he's fast in qualifying.
If you cast your mind back to about 2 hours ago, not many of you have known this, but Torben Schutt Charlie down in there in P6, currently on his outlap. We're on board with him, but Torben Schutt Charlie just got off a plane about 2 hours ago. He's landing into Barcelona, so very quick transport to get him all the way from the Costa Blava? I'm not too sure where it is, but all the way from Barcelona here down to near Graz in Austria.
Yeah, obviously very impressive flying from that pilot that got him here so quickly. Obviously in P6 at the moment. Again, pretty similar to Jay Robinson, about 3.5 off the current fastest time. So yeah, good stuff for him at the moment, obviously on the soft tyres, as is everyone at the moment. They want to get the fastest lap they can in Q1. It doesn't really matter about the tyre choice.
Yeah, so we see here, through turn 5, it's such a tricky braking zone, and it's so easy to lock that front right, but he's done it quite marvellously.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, as you said, it's quite tricky with how it's an off-camber corner, you know, that it's very easy to lock up. But yeah, good stuff from him. And then, you know, as you said, we have seen incidents there in the past with real-life Formula 1, obviously, between Lewis Hamilton and Alex Albon. So it's very easy to make a mistake going into that corner. Very easy to go deep into the corner and miss your braking point.
Yeah, so he actually went wide and invalidated his lap, so he's probably going to go around for one more as he comes towards the finish line.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not too sure where he invalidated it specifically, but he's going to go around again, coming through turn 1. Very nicely done. Obviously, the Haas driver is where he spun it there and completely had to retire his car. But yeah, nicely done through turn 1. Got the line there perfectly.
Go ahead and talk us through the rest of his lap.
So as you said, coming through turn 3 here, obviously on that straight just before, there's that tiny turn 2, really doesn't affect the drivers. It's completely flat throughout there. As we approach this turn 4 corner, again, as we spoke about previously, so off camber, very easy to lock up, but Charlie gets it done very nicely, not using too much of that exit curb. Obviously, you can extend much further out there to get that speed coming through the corner, but coming through turn 6 here, nicely done. And then turn 7, one of my favorite corners on the track, very funny. You can really push the boundaries of how fast you can go through there. As we approach turn 9 and turn 10, these very famous corners from the real life race with Lando Norris overtaking Sergio Perez on the final lap, but Torben not happy with that lap. He's going to be coming into the pits, unfortunately.
Yeah, so not happy with that lap, but he managed to stay out, and I think his time about 3/10 slower is safe, but Max Chapman, even with the injury, 1/10 up.
Yeah, that's really good stuff from Max Chapman. Obviously, we know how fast he is as Nados, the freshly signed Red Bull driver, goes into P2, just 800ths behind Max Chapman. So that's a really good time from him. As he said, we're at the Red Bull ring. So yeah, really good to see a Red Bull in P2 at the moment.
Only 1/10 behind as well. Obviously, we look at the Red Bull of Musgrave. Mustert, and then we also look at Widdowson down in P13. Obviously, these two drivers have already been here this year. If you cast your mind back about, I would like to say about a month ago, when we had the Haas driver trials. Obviously, Widdowson was actually successful in that, and then Mustert actually got a spot thereafter once the Red Bull driver of Casper elected to no longer participate in the league. So if we cast our minds back to that, they actually did a sprint race at this track, and that's probably going to be helping him a lot today.
Yeah, definitely. And if we cast our mind back to that time, I remember saying the majority of them really enjoyed this track. So yeah, obviously really popular. And with Nados in P2 at the moment, that's really showing up. He's obviously enjoying the track. He's enjoying the car. He's liking his setup at the moment. So yeah, good to see him in P2. And yeah, as you said, there's obviously other drivers with the likes of Matthew Widdowson also drove here in that sprint race.
And we've got all of the drivers on track today. And there's only 2 spots really left, considering Salomon and Forbes are already out the session. But one of the men whose teammate is out of the session is Matthew Widdowson. We're on board with him currently. We'll see if he can set a better lap. Joel Foxhall has gone ahead of Chapman by 24 thousandths of a second, but currently there is nothing different about that because, well, we saw him challenging for it last week, but Q1 doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, definitely. Joel has been very quick the last few races, being able to get at the top end of the field consistently, but obviously, not quite enough to take that pole away from Chapman. He's very close in France, but it just wasn't quite enough.
Unlucky.
Yes, good to see him in P1 at the moment.
Unluckily, Matt has actually invalidated his lap, but behind him, the Renault of Archie Middelfeld is going to be trying to get that toe down into turn 3.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, there's quite a few straight periods on this track, especially coming out of turn 3 and also coming out of turn 1. So that toe is really useful, and obviously there's DRS zones along that straight as well. So looks like the Renault has decided to stop on the track, so he won't be going any faster this lap. Yeah,
the Haas of Widdowson missed his braking point right in front of him. Huge lockup into turn 3 and just went straight, and I think the Renault was allowing him to get back onto the track. And Dylan Hartley not looking as confident as he comes into the pits, and he'll be one of the people challenging for that last spot. We see Alex Rinser down in P17 and Josh O'Mara in P16, and Josh is going to be fighting for that spot. Alex has just passed the finish line. He's going to go for his hot lap, so we'll go ahead and talk him through this one. Down through the long straight, the longest straight we have today, coming through turn 2. He's going to be putting all of the ERS and the DRS in that rear wing into that, down into the tricky braking zone of turn 3. He is 85,000 slower than Joel, but he has set a personal best sector 1 down through there. A little snap of oversteer, but he's okay back on the DRS, and as fast as you can down towards the really tricky braking zone of turn 4. Once again, this is where we saw the real life collisions and where we could possibly see some collisions on Sunday, and he takes that really well, keeping it nice and tight, but on the exit, using the exit curb quite well. Down here through turn 5 and 6, you want to keep it tight to the right and then cook it into the left, but he's not able to do that, and just so much understeer through there, which means he's going to be slower by 7/10 now, coming through turn 7 and 8, coming towards turn 9. Again, a tricky braking zone. It's really difficult to stay within the track limits down here. If you just overshoot it, you do it, and then down to turn 10, the final turn of this course, he stayed it within the lines, but he's only going to promote himself to around P16.
Yeah, coming through turn 7, it looks like he had loads of understeer, and that Red Bull really wasn't happy in the car by the looks of it. So yeah, it's a shame for him, obviously, in P16 at the moment, just one place outside of being safe. But yeah, that lap wasn't enough. Doesn't look like that Red Bull sticking to the road very well.
Well, it's really interesting because this is the old tale of the Red Bull second car, because we've got one of them in P3 and the other one down in P16.
Yeah, definitely. We've seen that a lot of Red Bull in real life, and unfortunately that curse is currently on Alex Rintzer by the looks of it down in P16 with his teammate up in P3. So yeah, that setup not quite working as well as his teammate by the looks of it. Lots of understeer coming through turn 7, as I said, quite clearly.
Yeah, well,
So it's a shame for him.
yeah, it's really, really interesting because obviously with the Parc Ferme regulations, the drivers cannot change any aspect of their setup except for the front wing and the tyre pressure. So it's really interesting because he's now going to have to do all weekend with that, and that just shows to me that that Red Bull driver has not done enough testing.
Yeah, potentially, and also might be the track conditions. Obviously, we have a track temperature of around 27 degrees at the moment. It's a bit overcast, you know, it's not as warm as this track could potentially be. He could have been practicing in perfect sunny conditions. That could be affecting him at the moment. Obviously, the tyre temperature is not coming up to the correct temperature as quickly with the lower temperature. But yeah, he's going for another one coming on with about 20 seconds left in the session. He has time to go around again, but coming through turn 3 there, he looked incredibly slow out the exit of that corner.
Yeah, it's difficult to see whether the drivers have the pace. Obviously, it's Q1, so there's not much to go up against. The 1:03.6 is currently the highest standing time, but Josh O'Mara has retired. He was 1.2 slower. He has not set a good enough time to get through, so he is out of Q1. And from the helicopter shot, we see Alex Rintzer is slightly quicker than he was through the last sector. He got no understeer there through turn 6 and 7, and there's a yellow flag in sector 3. I'm not too sure what reason for, but coming down to the finish line, Alex Rintzer looks like he's going to be safe, and he is. He's going to be P15 by the barest of margins.
Yeah, definitely. But by the looks of it, Ben Mitchell in the Mercedes is also on a flying lap coming out of turn 3. Got a massive snap of oversteer, really compromised his lap by the looks of it. But he is still fighting for that final position. We'll have to see what his first sector time looks like.
Well, there's one thing for certain, is that Dylan Hartley is safe, so he's gonna be really lucky there, as the fact that Alex can't go through for another lap, and he's about 25 thousandths behind. But Ben Mitchell got a yellow sector 1, meaning he's not quite as quick. Yellow sector 2, meaning he's also not quite as quick, but he's 5.56 behind, which would currently put him in P10 next to his teammate Ian Hanmore. But coming through the final sector, this is where he really needs to retain that time, get a green or purple sector, and he is safe. Coming here through turn 10, he goes, oh, he touches the belly, he goes wide, and he is out, unfortunately, he's out. Yeah, he scrubbed his belly, he scrubbed the floor on the exit of turn 10, which meant he just couldn't turn.
Yeah, definitely, and he got very close to breaching track limits, I think, coming out of the final corner, but so close for the Mercedes driver of Mitchell. But yeah, a shame they didn't quite get there. In P16 for the race on Sunday.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you for the start of Q2. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're now in the qualifying 2 session, and this is where the drivers need to choose their strategies right to make sure for Sunday that they are properly prepared. I'm once again joined by Sam Wolfie in the commentary box.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, this session is all about the strategy for the race. Those that get through to Q3 have to start the race on the tyre they get the fastest lap on in this session, unless it rains, of course. But I imagine there's going to be a few different strategies. Obviously, every now and then we see a split strategy just to see if anybody can catch any others out. But seeing a lot of soft tyres at the moment.
What would your strategy be around here, Sam?
I definitely think it'd be starting on the soft. I mean, if that's the general consensus amongst the paddock, starting on the soft, there's no point in putting yourself at a disadvantage. On the start, you're going to get an incredible launch with that really sticky soft tyre. So, yeah, that's a good choice, I think, for them. Obviously, there's going to be a few people that I think will try the medium tyre. By the looks of it, Max Chapman is actually on that medium tyre. So, trying the different strategy can work out. But I do remember, I think it must have been Canada that Max tried the alternate strategy. Didn't quite work out for him with him having to pit later.
Yeah, but then we cast our mind backs to last week as well at France, and Charlie, who did do the alternate strategy, came P3. So, yeah, that's interesting. And we've actually got, in one of the driver forums, Alex Rinser is asking, is this a soft or a medium track? So, again, the drivers not knowing themselves.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a tricky one. I mean, the tyre wear around Austria is not as bad as it could be. Obviously in France we saw an elevated level of tyre wear. But yeah, not as bad in Austria. It's quite a short lap, so it's understandable that there's a lot of soft runners.
Yeah, one of the time... sorry, I've just lost the connection to Steam, so we're going to have to turn this once again into a radio station. So, Sam, if you can take that away.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, another slight technical issue, but we'll get that fixed for you as soon as possible. But yeah, tyre talk, obviously, it's boring for some, but it's quite important in Formula One. As I said, there's lots of soft runners. The only medium runners that are currently on track are Alex Rinser, Andre, Max Chapman, and Grizzly Titan. So there's obviously some people that are trying that alternate strategy on the media, but the rest of the field are on the soft tire. They're going to be going for the fastest time possible on the fastest the fastest tire there is this weekend.
Obviously, I can't see quite what's going on, but Sam here is giving you an absolutely amazing perspective of what is going on. And just Sam, talk us through, what do you think the difference between the two tyre compounds are? Because obviously today we're running the C2 compound for the hards and the C3 compounds for the mediums, and then obviously the C2s for the softs. So the 3 medium compounds, and how is that going to affect the outcome that we see coming forward?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's slightly towards the softer range on the available compounds that F1 brings to the calendar. Obviously, the game follows what the real life brings. So yeah, as you said, there's certain tyre compounds that these guys will be running this weekend is all representative of real life. As I said, there's a few medium runners. They won't be setting the fastest times in the session just because of that tyre deficit and the difference between the soft and the medium tyre.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to say we're back here in the commentary box for the middle of Q2. We see Robbie Welsh, one of the people who could definitely challenge for that pole position today, going through, crossing the sector timing line up to turn 1 is where drivers will possibly invalidate. He's kept it within the lines, and down towards turn 2, that Renault is going to be putting all of the power from that PU down towards the tricky braking zone of turn 3.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we saw the freshly branded Renault Alpine team now in Formula 1 in F1 testing today. I'm not sure if any of our viewers watched that, but it was pretty interesting. Obviously, the beautifully branded blue Alpine car, which I'm a massive fan of. It looked great out on track.
Really interesting. We've now got 3 variations of a blue-style car in Formula 1. We've got the Alpine, we've got the Red Bull and the Williams, and it's going to be very difficult to tell who is who on that timing screen. We can see Abreu and Rinser already looking quite similar on the boards with the colours, but yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and us commentators, we're going to have to get used to it. But then if you also factor in Mercedes, that's a kind of blue. And then Aston Martin too, it's a green, but sometimes green and blue, sort of the same colour. So half of the grid is a blue if you count them two as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting. Obviously, blue's a very popular colour amongst the F1 teams. Obviously, looks very nice out on track, and under the lights of Bahrain, it really looked really impressive. And I do think that Williams livery's actually grown on quite a lot, and I think it looks great out on track.
What do you think to the actual Ferrari livery with the green mission winner? I mean, not many people actually understand the meaning behind that, but if you talk about it, obviously Ferrari, Scuderia Ferrari, meaning garage Ferrari, or it's actually called stable if you translate it directly from Italian, but it means garage Ferrari, and basically the green signifies the Italian flag. So they've got the white aspects with the Ray-Ban and all of the sponsors, the red aspect of the car, and the green of the mission winnow. So how do you feel about green being on a Ferrari livery?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's a weird one, to be honest. I'm hearing that they won't race the green mission winnow logo. I honestly don't know. I think Ferrari obviously trying to make a statement this year. They got to improve from last year, obviously. By the sounds of it, they've made advancements in their power unit. If we saw that today, then it's not looking great, but, you know, we can't really judge their performance over testing times. But, yeah, it's unique, but not typically Ferrari. And one of my favourite things about Ferrari is how traditional they are.
Well, one of the Ferraris that doesn't have that green mission winnow logo on it is Titan, who, through turn 2, actually invalidated his lap. A very unusual place to invalidate, but tricky one there for him. But his teammate up in P2.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, we've seen that Titan in the first session was very quick, managed to split the Alphas at the start of the session. But yeah, he's obviously got some pace around Austria, which is really good to see. Obviously, we want a good fight for pole position. And yeah, it's good to see that Titan may be able to give that to us today. And obviously, we saw Joel even manage to beat Max Chapman and beat him to that P1 position in Q1. So it's looking good for the pole fight at the moment.
Both of the Racing Point cars, the pink Mercedes, as it were, they are out on track. We see Wilson here through Sector 2, and his teammate is just coming through Sector 1. And it's making you think what sort of performance they can put in today, because we said Joel Foxhall is definitely with a chance of that pole position, and Wilson definitely shown some promise earlier in the season as well. So he comes down towards the final couple turns, and he's got to make sure he gets the right run down towards turn 1. If he doesn't get the correct run, it can mess your entire lap up and inevitably lose you valuable time. But he crosses the finish line and heads on down to the up right-hand camber, turn 1.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, Wilson, a great race for him last week in France. Started P19, managed to get all the way up into P10, obviously getting that final championship point. So a great race from him last week. I hope we can see that again, obviously, in P7 at the moment, with a pretty competitive time, about half a second off the current P1 time from Kasper Meech. So yeah, hopefully we'll see that again in this weekend in Austria.
Well, it's not great for him because he's just lost 8/10 through turn 1. We said if you don't get the right run, it can make if you don't get the right run, it's definitely going to break your lap, and Wilson is going to feel the detriment of that now. He may come into the pits at the end of this lap because he's 2.1 seconds behind.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, got to be at the right place at the right time on the track. There's not too many cars out at the moment, but there's the potential for 15 cars to be out on track at the same time, obviously with 15 cars still in the session. So yeah, it's all about timing. Obviously you want to be fast, and also it's about timing, being at the right place at the right time on the track.
He does come in, but who's that? That is either Torben Schutt or Titan there. Slowed down in Sector 2. We'll go on board with Torben Schutt. He is in the garage. I'm not sure about Titan. Titan is out. So it is Torben Schutt who pulled over to the side and has actually retired. I'm not sure if it was a retirement or... Actually, no, I think it may be Titan who was pulled over to the side of turn 1, and that may have compromised Joel Foxhall's lap. He had to lift off of the power. We see him stopping there. That could be a power unit issue there for the Ferrari down in P11.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's happened to that Ferrari. They may have gone deep into turn 3. Looks like he's invalidated his lap on my timing screen. So he may have gone deep and messed up his lap. He's obviously on those medium tyres, so he's going for that alternate strategy compared to the rest of the field. So we'll have to see what he does.
Well, it's incredibly peculiar because it was as if he was stopped at a marshal post down in Sector 1 past turn 3. It very well could have been him just overshooting his braking point and going straight into the turn 3 barrier, but it looked as if he was pulled over intentionally on that off of the racing line into the marshal post. As we go on board Jean Fox, we see him just to the left where the orange thing is there on the left. You see, that's where he would have been.
Yeah, it's a peculiar one. I'm not too sure what happened there. Obviously, he's going to be on his way now, trying to get back to the pits by the looks of it. There's 4 minutes left in the session. He's going to get a fresh set of tyres, because if that was an overrun coming into turn 3, he probably locks up his tyres.
But you thought it'd be Kenco, who's in P4, that would be the one overrunning in turn 3. But actually, it was actually Titan in P11. All the way down the midfield. It's very competitive, within about 0.2 of a second from Ian in P4 with 3/10 delta, and then all the way down to Hartley in P10 with a 5/10 delta. So very interesting stuff. But down in the lower order of things, Andre Abreu, who once again one of the drivers who could have challenged for the pole position if Max could not race, has not set a time.
Yeah, I think Andre's having a few technical issues, but there's a few minutes left in the session. I really do hope he can come in and set a lap. He's the only guy not out on track, the only guy in the session to not have set a lap so far, obviously in P15, as a result of that. But that pace we saw from Nados is either completely diminished, or I'm not too sure what's happened. He's down in P14 at the moment, not safe for Q3 at the moment.
And he's not even out on track, so he's not trying to rectify it. James Wilson through Sector 1 has gone green with about 50 thousandths, 500ths of a second slower than Casper, who's in P1. He said Casper very boisterously on the radio, saying that was on old soft, high fuel, kind of nice for that one, boys. So yeah, interesting there. But down in the lower order, Titan and Middelfeld, the only two drivers out on the track who are in the elimination zone.
Yeah, that's very peculiar. I'm not too sure why the two Red Bulls aren't competing for this Q3 position. You know, it's all about... it's a very corporate sport, obviously, being in the Red Bull ring, and they are Red Bull drivers. Why are they not competing for that Q3 position? I don't know. There's 2 minutes left on in the session. That is just about enough time, I reckon, to go for another run. But, I mean, they've got to be quick.
We'll have to think about that in a second, but currently our eyes are focused on P12, Archie Middelfeld, who is coming through the final sector. He was 0.6 slower there on the Delta, but if he can crawl some time back on the final corner, which it doesn't look like he has, he could go safe. And he will not go safe down in P11.
No, obviously not safe at the moment. There's 1 minute 50, just under 1 minute 50 left in the session, so that is enough time to get around the track again. But he's trying to get out of the way of that Red Bull. Got very close there. But yeah, I'll have to see if he goes around again.
Go ahead and talk us through Titan Slap, who is going down towards turn 2.
So yeah, as you said, coming towards turn 2, that very, very slight corner, and turn 3 here, easily to go very deep. I think that's what he did on the previous lap. That's the most probable cause for that incident as he opens the DRS coming towards turn 4. Again, this off-camber corner, very, very tricky. Is he going to use that exit curve? This is what I'm going to look out for. Is he going to use that exit curve to extend the corner? No, he doesn't. He takes a little bit of the curve, but it looked like he took a very tight line coming into the start of the corner as we go through turn 6 here, a nice corner, and turn 7, obviously, as I said previously, my favorite on the track. Very nice. Just a few downshifts in order to get that stability going through the corner as we approach turn 9. Very, very fast right-hand corner, and you know, it's very easy to go wide and completely disobey the track limit rules for this weekend. Coming through the final corner here, powering towards the start-finish line, and DRS is open. He is safe and up into P3 with a 1:03.7. Nicely done.
That's an amazing lap, but now Hartley is in the elimination zone. He is 0.2 slower than Casper, which would currently keep him safe. So he is going to be fine. And we'll see him as he comes from final corner. He's just got to make sure not to invalidate. He's gone really wide. Ooh. Dylan is out of the session. There's no way, unless... well, he could go round once more, but we go on board. We see he's halfway ERS. He's got to go round again. Otherwise, he is out this session. Archie Middelfeld is 0.7 slower than his previous lap. He does not look like he's going to be able to make it there. We see Alex Rinser has gone 2 green sectors, and he's followed by his teammate of Muster. They are both coming down towards the start-finish line. Andre Abreu hasn't been able to set time, so He is down in P15, but both the Red Bulls now, we see from the timing line, it's going to be Alex Rinser is not going to be safe. But his teammate also isn't going to be safe. You said that pace seems to have diminished, and it clearly has.
Yeah, that's a real shame. Obviously, both Red Bulls knocked out of Q2, not getting into Q3 today. Is Titan now up into P1, beating that time of Kastamich. So that was a really good lap from him. Not actually sure how that's happened, but anyway. P11 and P13 for the two Red Bulls today at the Red Bull Ring. And unfortunately, Dylan Hartley actually splitting the two Red Bulls in P12, just not quite fast enough for Q3 today.
Yeah, he's backed out, but he's actually looked like he's blocking Chapman, who is on a flyer right now. Unluckily there through turn 8, but it looks like he was on low fuel mode, so not much he could do. But yeah, unfortunately there for both the Red Bull boys and Dylan. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting ready for qualifying 3, but once again, it seems as though Steam is dying, and multiple times tonight, Codemasters are letting us down. We've seen this multiple times before, haven't we, Sam? I think Sam's internet has also died, but yes, this Codemasters letting us down. It seems a recurring theme, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't realise I was on mute. That is a me issue, definitely not a Codemasters issue. But yeah, we'll be inviting the drivers back into the session, so hopefully they'll be able to get back in.
Yeah, well, they'll be getting back in time for this all-important qualifying 3 session, but in the meanwhile, we saw one of the Red Bull drivers, Andre. He was just so close, and he was just so far. So, as he came across the line, we heard the team radio from the Red Bull driver.
Oh man, if only not for that last corner invalidation. Sorry guys, did my best.
The track limit's really playing a part in today's race, and today's qualifying session, but how is that going to play a part in Sunday's race?
Well, obviously starting outside of the top 10 at the moment, the rain not affecting any sessions, so they will be sticking to that tyre they started on. So yeah, he's gonna have that free tyre choice on Sunday. That's a big thing for him strategy wise. We'll have to see what the Red Bull guys decide to do. Are they going to split the strategy? We will have to see.
What are the Ferrari guys going to do though? Because Titan topped the board last session, and Torben Schutt came P4, so very good stuff for them up at the top of the table.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to see both Ferrari boys in Q3. Obviously, that's really going to play into their advantage in terms of strategy. They can hopefully qualify close to each other, potentially split the Alfa Romeos. You know, we know how quick they are. So yeah.
Here we're on board with Joel Foxall currently through the Sector 2 section of the track, and he hasn't really managed to show us what he's actually able and capable of today, but he may be able to do it this upcoming lap.
Yeah, definitely. I think Joel's looking very strong today. Obviously, between Joel and Tyson in the last section, and of course Casper. I mean, can't ignore that lap from him. That was a great lap time from the Alfa Romeo driver, but they're looking all strong. It's going to be a good fight for pole today. Obviously, it's going to be their first lap thus far in Q3, so it's going to be an interesting one to see who comes out on top at the very first lap.
I wonder how Chapman's doing, obviously, with his sprained wrist. He's coming now through Sector 2. We'll go and try and get a word from the Alfa Romeo garage as soon as we can about that issue, but he has no longer got the purple Sector 1, so interesting stuff there from not only Chapman, but Foxhall, who has taken Sector 1 from him.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Chapman in Q2 qualified 5th on those soft tyres. So obviously not the pace we saw in Q1, but maybe that wrist injury slightly affect him. We'll have to see. Obviously, with that purple Sector 2 and Sector 3, he's looking very strong after I've just said that.
Go ahead and talk us through Joel Foxhall, who is invalidated and down to turn 10, has had a massive lock-up.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if he was on a flying lap. If he was, that's a real shame. He's probably no doubt going to try and go for another lap. He's go through turn 1. Nicely done, and he backs off. So this won't be a fastest lap for Joel Foxhall. You know, another lap, another reconnaissance lap, going around the track, learning the track as much as he can. He's going to find the spots which have the most grip. Obviously, with the track temperature of 27 degrees, not the optimum temperature for these tyres, let alone the drivers. So he's learning all the time, going around the lap. He's going to be learning all the time, trying to get those temperatures up to temperature. Get those tyres up to temperature. It'll be interesting to see whether he decides to pit to get a fresh set of softs, or he decides to go around again on those softs. You know, they have a set amount of soft tyre compounds to bring to a weekend, so I imagine he'll try and go around on the same set of softs again, just to make sure he has enough for his second run of Q3.
It's going to be interesting to see what's actually going to go on in that Racing Point garage. They've got 2 drivers now in the Q3 positions, and what they do with that slot is going to be very interesting. Chapman's still ahead in P1 despite that wrist issue, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do to try and challenge him. Jay Robinson for his first time in the top flight in some time, so Jay is doing quite well to represent the AlphaTauri team when his teammate Dylan could not.
Yeah, definitely in P6 at the moment. Great stuff from the AlphaTauri driver, as you said, teammate not managing to get into Q3 this week, but yeah, really good representing the team, being able to get at least one car into Q3 this week.
And we see also both the Mercedes double stacking there to get into the pits, so interesting there. Oh, sorry, not double stacking, it's not the Mercedes, both the Racing Point boys double stacking to get into the pits, so yeah, interesting.
Yeah, obviously both eager to get those tyres replaced. Joel deciding to replace those tyres. And his next run, which no doubt will be in the next few minutes, will be on a fresh set of sauce.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting now with only a couple minutes left in the qualifying 3 session.
Definitely. Have to see who decides that they need to come out again. Obviously, all the drivers I expect to come out again. Casper Meach in P10 at the moment, still in the pits. I'm not sure if he even came out for just one trip around the track, but he's in P10 at the moment. Obviously, we saw that time from him in Q2. He's saying that he was on old softs and at high fuel. So obviously, he's going to have that extra set of soft going into the race. So potentially an interesting strategy coming out of that Alfa Romeo team on Sunday.
Robbie Welsh we're on board with right now. It says Nyaum on his helmet, but we haven't seen much Nyaum from him so far. He's in P4.
No, that's a great helmet there from the Renault driver. But yeah, he's in P4 at the moment. He's on his out lap coming through turn 9. He's going to be going for the flying lap and hopefully improving on his time.
And down towards turn 1. We said multiple times today, the run down to turn 1 is probably the most important part on the track. And if you invalidate it, it is horrible for the rest of your lap, because you're not doing an entire lap, even though you've invalidated on the first corner. But Robbie takes that perfectly fine. Very long straight down to turn 3. This is a very good opportunity to see the pace that he has. He's 9 thousandths off the pace. So currently, Max Chapman on provisional pole. Robbie Welsh could dethrone him, though. Coming here down to turn 4. Once again, tricky braking point. We see off of the DRS, the rear wing closing and getting as tight to that curve as he can, using a lot more of the exit curve than we saw the Ferrari boys doing, who are currently up above him by 2 positions down through turn 6 and 7, and he has got a negative delta to Max Chapman, so he'll currently be going provisional pole if he keeps that little understeer as we saw with the Red Bull boys. So they've definitely nailed that setting down at the Renault garage. But through turn 9 and into turn 10, this is where he can invalidate his lap. He's gone just within the limits, pushing it to the very limits, and Robbie Welsh going across the line, lost the time in the final thing. So by 0.004 of a second goes third because Titan with a 0.041 delta. So interesting stuff there at the top, and definitely interesting as to who can go onto provisional pole.
Yeah, definitely just 0.004 of a second behind that time of Titan, and just 0.04 behind the provisional pole time at the moment. So the next guy I'm interested in seeing their lap time is Kasper Meech. Oh, he's coming into the pit, so it won't be Kasper Meech, but hopefully Joel Fox will be staying out when he does, coming through the last corner now. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he can fare, just with those really fast times we've just seen.
P8, unluckily for Joel, but that may have just been a lap to set him up for the next one. So Joel just pushing the limits to the absolute maximum there. We'll get a replay on the limits that Joel had coming through that final sector. So if we go ahead and watch that again, just Joel into that final sector. Obviously, at this point, we were watching Robbie, who obviously started the second part of his lap and is currently staying out. But we go to Joel in P9 in just a second when we wait for it. If we do indeed go to Joel in just a second. Cue the elevator music. There we go. And we just see how close to that line he gets on the exit of turn 10. So, yeah, interesting for Joel.
Yeah, definitely. And coming into turn 1, he's very aggressive as well, much more aggressive than that of Robbie Welsh as he approaches, coming through the final corner, approaches the start-finish line. He goes P4.
P4 by 1.7 obviously, into the final sector is where he's lost his time. He set 3 green sectors, and that's good enough for Joel, I think. P4 is good for him.
Yeah, definitely. He might go round again on these softs. We'll have to see what his strategy is, but I don't think he has enough time to come in and pit. So if he decides to go around again, potentially could improve on that time, but obviously the tyre condition will be diminishing. The next guy to look out for is Kasper Meech. He's on his outlap at the moment, coming up towards turn 3. We'll have to see what sort of time he can do now.
And Max is the guy who is, well, definitely on top at the moment, but is so close in the top 4. And, well, who do you think, who's your take for today?
I honestly don't know. I think Titan's looking really, really strong. If he nails his next lap, I think he could do it. We've seen him do it in Spain. Obviously, wasn't able to turn that pole position into a win with that terrible start. But he's looking very, very strong at the moment. He's obviously got some great pace around Austria. But, you know, we know how strong Max is in a qualifying session. He's obviously running with that injury this week. So we'll have to see what he can do. But this is the final lap for him in this session.
We look back to a couple weeks back, we see Chapman actually not coming out the pits on the final opportunity. For whatever reason, for sustainability, durability of the car, Max Chapman has beaten his own time by 0.003 of a second. It's not much, but when the top is that tight, every millisecond counts. But yeah, Max Chapman actually stayed in, but today he is doing something completely different and deciding to go out and just make sure that the 4/400th of a second gap he has now stays that way.
Yeah, definitely. It's way, way too close for Max to stay in the box this week. It's so close between him and the Ferrari driver. They're very, very close out on track. Looks like Chapman is incredibly quick, going 0.3 faster than in his current time. So he's looking really, really strong coming through turn 9 here. And the final lap, as he hopefully doesn't invalidate. Nicely done there, coming out of the final corner. And he improves.
Provisional pole for Chapman by 0.5 of a second. What a ridiculous lap that is for Chapman. But Titan, coming through the final corners, had an absolutely mare of a lap, but he could very well just be setting himself up for the current lap that he is on.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Kasper Meech has actually invalidated his lap. He won't be able to set a time. Yeah, he's retired. He won't be able to set a time. So Kasper Meech, with that incredible pace we saw in Q2, will not come into fruition. And he invalidated his lap at the start.
Whatever's gone on there, that was really dangerous. Down in Sector 1, both the drivers straddling each side of the track. That was Kasper Meech and James Wilson. And Jay Robinson had to take some very quick thinking and avoiding action to make sure he wasn't caught in the middle of that one.
Yeah, that looked really, really close between the 3 drivers. We saw something similar in real life, I think, with Esteban Ocon. But yeah, that got really close between the drivers, but lightning fast reaction. So that was really good to see to avoid a collision. But Max Chapman, regardless of his wrist injury this weekend, he got pole by half a second. I mean, that is incredible. Really great stuff from the Alfa Romeo driver. That's honestly really shocking that he's managed to do that this weekend, but that is just testament to him. He's obviously put a lot of practice in. You know, we know he's an incredibly fast qualifier, but to see him in pole with half a second advantage is incredible.
We'll go ahead and get the team radio from Jay Robinson, who was just caught in that incident.
What are they doing, man? Stick to one side of the track. Don't be all over. Come on, boys.
Yeah, so we're going to go watch that replay there of Jay. That was absolutely very, very dangerous.
Definitely, we do not want to be seeing that. Obviously, that could have been in an airplane incident. That was so close between the three drivers.
Oh, it's just so close between all three of them. But whilst you were gone, unfortunately, sorry about the team radio message coming up once again. Whilst you were gone, Ian Hamwar secured P5. Joel Foxall is in P4. James Wilson is the only man out on track who could have done it. He got a purple sector 2, but he comes into the pits. I'm not too sure what's going on there, but that is your grid for today, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, Sam, what do you think to that? Max on pole, even with an injured wrist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that he's managed to do that. Really good stuff from the Alfa Romeo driver. Obviously, quite a shame for Casper Meech, though, Max's teammate. He invalidated his lap right at the start of his flying lap run. He wasn't able to set a time at the start of the session. I really think he's going to be regretting that. But he's going to be starting P10 on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, testament to Max Chapman with that. Even with that injured wrist, he's managed to get bowled by 5-10. So incredible stuff.
Right, we'll go ahead and just together, you and I, Sam, will watch this incident with Jay. So, just really dangerous between the drivers, but I'm not sure how they're gonna take of it. So, we'll watch the replay. So, just on board here with Robbie Welsh, and we switch quite quickly over to Wilson, who definitely was the only person who could have set a time. Oh, sorry, I don't think it was Wilson. Yeah, it was Wilson. And Wilson and who was that? Meech. And just swerving across the track, Jay got blocked. And wow, that was dangerous.
Yeah, really dangerous. I'm not too sure what Alfa Romeo that was, because I was running on board with Casper Meech, and he'd already retired from the session. And I'm not too sure that the A would have swerved off like that. So it might have actually been Max Chapman. So yeah, I'm not too sure what happened amongst those three, but definitely something to look into.
Well, your pole sitter for Sunday is Max, and he's joined behind by the Ferrari of Grizzler and the Renault of Robbie. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go find someone to host, and we'll see you very, very soon.